Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Welcome, everybody. It's the Craft Beer News segment, December 29, 2023. It's the final Craft Beer News segment of the year. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. We are live every Friday, 7:15 p.m. Eastern, over on Facebook, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, TikTok, whatever else is out there. We're there. We're live.
Are we live on TikTok?
Actually, no, we're not live on TikTok.
I was like, I don't remember that one.
We haven't gotten to the full amount of subscribers yet on our TikToks, but we'll be working through that. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. That's at Better on Draft. Just like all of our social medias at Better on Draft, even Untapped. We do have an Untapped, contrary to popular
live
belief.
there too.
We're not live on Untapped, but maybe if we asked maybe if we got in touch with a moderator of Untapped, maybe we could go live on the platform itself. Let's go around and see what everybody is drinking, starting with Wendy. Wendy, what do you got?
Well, I stopped in Toledo on the way home and was able to pick up a lunch from the Maine Beer Company. So I'm going to drink that and also finish this Southern Grist Mango Braco Nut. It is not a brown, it's an IPA. So I'm going to do this lunch first and then I'll open up that one.
For myself, I'm still getting through the two regular Dragon's Milks at 11% ABV. This is going to be a fun night. Did you say it's not much of a...
I mean, this is 12, so...
Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel. I did start off the day. We talk about it in the Michigan Craft Beer Discord all the time, which, of course, if you look at the show notes, you can join the Michigan Craft Beer Discord, even if you're not from Michigan. But I have to ask you, is it like when I go bowling, I want to drink a bowling beer. And when I think of a bowling beer, I think of three things: Miller, Bud, Coors, or Labatt Molson. Am I like... I know we go through the theory, if you like it, it's a good beer, but even if they offer better beers, it's okay to drink that kind of beer though, right, guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like at a
bowling anytime.
Yes, it is.
at a sporting event, like there are times where when we go to like a Ford Field for a Lions game and it's almost like double the price to get a craft beer, and I'd rather just have two big, glasses of Miller Lite and I'll be happy as whatever. But yeah, I get a pitcher of beer. I'm like, I just want a pitcher of beer. I want to drink throughout the night. I don't want to have to keep going and buying beers, and I don't want, regular beer to warm up. So that's my Dragon's Milk. That's my little anecdote. Rob, what are you drinking?
I have a Bourbon County Brand Stout 2020. It's currently wet January in one of my Discords. So this one counts.
Well, we've heard of damp January, compliments of Wendy. What's wet January? Is that when it just gets completely
it's something, it's a different game. Yeah, pretty much. It's a different game. We started to protest dry January, where all of the beers that count have to be higher than 10%.
Yes.
I'm joining this. It actually starts before Christmas, too. The weekend before Christmas is when our wet January starts.
Starts Christmas
I'm
Eve.
interested.
Let's go, kids. I got to drink my 18% worldwide stout.
I like these.
I do.
Dan?
So I'm drinking a Malpace from La Cumbre, and it's half a can. So if I finish that, I got me a good old trusty kilt lifter.
Are you tapped out of your keg right now, or nothing from the kegs you want?
I mean, this is from the keg. I tapped out the Russian Imperial I made, and one of the other keg in there, it's a 3 tab, is tapped out. I just haven't had a chance. They're all the way on the west side, so I haven't got a chance to replace it yet.
A 3 tab, damn, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
I got one, and I'm just fine with that. I'm happy with that. That's for sure.
Like a variety, One of them so I can put homebrew on, and the other 2 are for whatever I decide to pick up.
I don't know which one Bats McGee over on our Twitch page is talking about, but that's what I drink at karaoke is what he says. I'm guessing maybe like light lagers, like if you want a constant buzz throughout the night, you don't want to go
definitely
too
worldwide
crazy.
stout.
Yeah, you can't
Worldwide
try out
style.
your voice either.
I used to. There was a karaoke bar I went to over in Madison Heights, and they used to have Diabolical from North Peak, which is a 6.66% ABV. And I remember getting like buckets of that when I was there. And yeah,
On the
definitely.
rocks.
Yeah, on the rocks. Yeah. Going there and drinking. They always had for pre-craft beer explosion, they always had a decent beer selection in their bottles and cans for sure. It wasn't anything too like crazy, like your Ale Marys or your Pourhouses or anything like that. But I always enjoyed it. But it is the craft beer news segment here at Better on Draft, and we're going to talk about some of the articles we feel are most important that you should know about today. And we are going to start with Wendy.
Well, I found a very interesting article. The city of Astoria, Oregon has had to reroute a portion of its Riverwalk due to collapse of the Bowie Beer Company's waterfront building. Apparently, the restaurant located in the building was shut down in 2021, and though it reopened elsewhere, the building stayed closed and partially collapsed in June of 22 when the pilings under the building gave way. Further debris recently falling has required a reroute of the trail. David Croning, the president and general manager of Bowie Beer, said a debris boom is in place, but that high tides are making containment difficult. He said the company is working with contractors to get a large cleanup done as soon as possible, and work is scheduled to start in January. I found it interesting that it's been 6 months and they haven't started the actual work to fix that in an area where people are walking. So I just wondered what your guys' opinion of that was. Is that normal for construction?
I'm curious who's responsible for it. Did it say?
I believe it's the company that is responsible for it.
They might not have the money to. I know I was reading part of this and they thought it was sound for a little bit, but if they don't have the money to fix that, that's going to be tough to do.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this where the Goonies was filmed?
Wasn't it?
That would be awesome if that's true. And how did you figure that out?
I know stupid things.
Good old Rudy running around in the caverns.
Interesting things.
Yeah, Astoria, Oregon is where they filmed the Goonies.
Okay.
So I wonder if any of that is like the Goondocks or, the iconic locations of the movie.
That's funny. So yeah, I was just interested in that. I thought it was weird that it's been so many months that I guess obviously they had plans in place and they are working with people to try and make sure that it's safe for the people on the Riverwalk. But I just wondered what your guys' opinion was of it.
Yeah, I didn't have buildings collapsing as one of the reasons for a brewery to not exist in that.
Not on your bingo card.
It was not on my bingo card.
I mean, it might be almost a catch-22 where they can't make money until the building's fixed, but they don't have the money to fix the building. So it's like a snake eating its own tail. Like no matter what, it's never going to be able to get out of it without maybe even some government funding or something like that. Even like a loan that they could get from the city that could be like, hey guys, we can loan you this money, but you got to pay us back. But at that point, what's the rate? What's going on? Are they going to guarantee the money back? But if they left, like who owns the building? Does the brewery own the building or do they rent it to someone else?
The article made it seem like it was the brewery that owns it.
Okay. Because when you get into something like that too, where you have some type of third party now, so you have the city, you have the brewery, and then you have the owner of the building, things could definitely get into a lot of, because the owner of the building's not going to want to pay for it, and the brewery's not going to want to pay for it, and the city's not going to want to pay for it, so nobody wants to pay for it, so nothing gets done. You might get into some issues too with supply chain, because I mean this has happened. I believe this happened last year. Like I know you said 6 months. I think this has been down for a year and a half from the few pages that I looked at. Like I have a link from a website called newschoolbeer.com from June 2022.
That's what I meant. 2022, not 2023. It
yes.
wasn't 6 months.
Yeah, so it's a year and a half now of this issue for sure. And at that point, there's probably a lot more issues at hand that you didn't think about, between the changes in tides, as you said, the weather, where this might just need to be demolished. Are they still in business? Is Bowie Beer Company still in business? Are they brewing?
Well, it didn't say anything about beer, but it did say that the restaurant that they had was relocated to a different place, but it didn't say when. So it wasn't like they shut the restaurant down in 2021 and moved it someplace else. Like, we don't know why that happened.
I'm just saying, the Fratellis, they were in a restaurant.
The Fratellis.
ORV, bullet holes. yeah, chunk. I think it's going to be one of those, like, nobody wants to do it and it doesn't get done until there's some type of legal ramification. Like, if the city knows somebody needs to do it, they need to start legal proceedings to get it done by something like that, or just be like, if you can't do it, you forfeit your property, or we'll buy the property from you. In the chat, Bats McGee's saying that they like the light lagers. A bucket of Coors Light is good for them. And Gordzilla says, if I'm drinking for quantity, a light lager is good, which I agree with. It was so funny. So I've talked about it all the time, but after Thursday, after bowling, I always go to Speedway and I get 2 of these for like $3.50. And for what these are Labatt Blue Light 24s from Speedway. And I found out because Dan made a comment, and the next time I went to Speedway, I noticed you could get 24s of Natty Daddy, 2 of them for $2.29 at Speedway.
Oh yeah, cheaper than water. Yeah, it's insane.
Like a 20-ounce Coke Zero costs like $2.50, $3.
How
but
is that possible?
2 Natty Daddies is $2.29.
Isn't Natty Daddy the higher ABV?
Yeah.
You could get Natural Light, Natty Daddy, or Natty Ice, all for $2.29 for 2.
Go back to episode 25. We cracked open 25-ounce Natty Daddies. Celebrate the episode.
That sounds like something we would do.
Yeah,
we're also the same show that mixed KBS with Milwaukee's Best.
Yep, that's true. The Kentucky Beast.
The Kentucky Beast. As we continue, let's go over to Dan. Dan, what's your article today? For today?
All right. So I couldn't find any news that you guys didn't already snag. So I wanted to do something. It's the end of the year, or it might be the first or second year, depending on when you hear this. Want to look back at 2023 with the 3 of you, Fort and counting me, of course. We're all we know a lot of different beers out there. There's beers we want to try. I want to hear, as far as chasing beers. So, higher end beers that cost more, that sort of thing. What's one beer you chased, bigger beer, like rare beer, that was worth the chase? And what is one that was not for 2023? I'm going to start first. I'm really disappointed in this. You guys have been drinking BCBS tonight. I got an empty bottle of BCBS, the 2-year Eagle Rare. That was the biggest waste of $40 I've ever had as far as a beer goes. Hate to say it, I love BCBS. Tasted like watered down regular BCBS. The beer. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm trying to see if I have that bottle, but I've got like brand Sir Isaac's from last year. I got I got Proprietor 2023.
The Proprietor's good. They sent us that a couple of years ago. I wish you could get that outside of Chicago.
I basically bought one of all of the available beers at the Binny's that I was just like, all right, one of this, one of this, one of this, one of this.
Now, did you get the cask finished? Because they promised it out here and it never showed up.
Well, we could finish with, I've got the Backyard Stout. I've got the Banana Foster from this year.
Oh.
That is the regular ass 2023, the Sir Isaac Stout, the 30-year, and the Proprietor. Those are the ones that they all had.
Yeah, the mythical cask finish that no one seems to have is kind of weird. As far as the beer that I was happy to find, as far as chasing, it's distributed here but hard to get, so I had to go to the source, was 2023 Black Tuesday. Typically, they only sell that to the members as far as it goes until it's the next year out at the brewery. But I convinced him enough, or the guy just didn't know, to sell me one. That same price as this, but a bigger bottle. Again, $40, much better. So I'm glad I went through chasing that, getting the FOMO out of the way. As always, Ken, I'm going to go to you.
Oh Jesus, I didn't chase anything this year. I mean, I know. I like there's top beers that I loved that I just kind of ran into that I didn't really chase. I think 2022 is definitely going to be the year more that I went and tried a lot of things that I've always wanted to try. Like 2022 is the year that I did Sam Adams Utopia, Narwhal, Bigfoot. Like I had so many of those at the Brewers Guild Beer Festival, the Brewers Association Beer Festival, GABF. I think for me, Utopia was definitely the white whale, and I think I hate to say it because we definitely got it for free, so I can't really say that it was worth the money. It was definitely worth the money because I didn't pay for it.
Though. Yeah,
it was worth the chase and the wait for sure. I think something that I like, I'm going to start chasing a little bit more. There's actually a beer out of Kalamazoo, out of Wax Wings, and it's the brown ale, and it's the Mishamakwa, I believe is the name of it. Cool. It is so good. I almost drove out there Saturday if they would have sold me a keg of it. I called in advance, by the way. I was like, can I make sure I buy a keg of this? And they said, no, we only have cans. And I'm like, all right, that's... I'm not going to drive out to Kalamazoo for cans at this time. Like,
I mean, you're halfway there, so...
It's not that far of a drive. It's only like an hour 20 or so, hour 30 at most. And I just couldn't... There was nothing that really motivated me to go out there to get that, especially because I had the night before bought $200 worth of Goose Island and Allagash.
Oh, fair
enough. Plus, you know, I knew I was going to be buying a keg, so I bought the keg. So that was another 130, 140. Yeah. So I don't think there was really too much chasing for me this year. Even at the beer festivals, there was nothing really that I'm like, oh my God, I have to have, or here's my one. Yeah, start a line. Yeah, I didn't go to Pigeon Hill at all. Wendy, what about you?
So I didn't do a whole lot of chasing either. During COVID, I had the opportunity, I think it was 2021. I had the opportunity to purchase Pliny the Elder, not that Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger, which is one of my bucket list beers. I still want to go to Russian River to try it on tap. I think it would be amazing. It was worth it to me. We paid a lot of money to have somebody from California have it delivered to them and then ship it to us because they only shipped it inside California. So that to me was really awesome. I still have not gotten KBBS, which really makes me sad. I will say that while I was on vacation, Agma did a release, and I'm looking at their site right now, their Nightmare Fuel, FYULE. I am so disappointed that I missed this release because everybody is raving about it. So that's I'm so sad I got it. And I think the Pliny the Younger is the one that I really chased for. That was really the only one I chased. I did happen upon a release at Good People Brewing in Alabama, Birmingham. They had their El Gordo series happened to be released the week that I was there. So I was able to get all 4 variants of that to bring home. And that beer was really good. So I'm really excited to drink some when we're not on the road.
And what about you, Rob?
So similarly, I kind of fell into a few beers that I had been excited to try before. So Pliny the Elder, That's the more common one, I think. Is one that a friend had actually brought back a crowler of way back a bunch of years ago. But then I was in San Francisco Airport and it was on tap. So I just kind of fell into that. That was kind of a nice surprise. And then the same friend who brought me the crowler of Pliny, he also we did a big beer share at his house to help empty out his cellar because it's getting a little overcrowded. But included in that emptying out was a chemtrail, Dark Lord chemtrail. I think from 2020. I don't remember which year that actually was. So that's one that I had always wanted to try, a variant I'd always wanted to try. I'd had a marshmallow hangy the year before. That was to celebrate a graduation.
Was that called marshmallow handy?
Hangy.
Oh,
totally different.
Sorry.
And so, but the chemtrail kind of rounded out the old classic Dark Lord variant. So I was excited to have that one. And then what was the naturally upset? So there was a Dark Lord, there was a Three Floyds tap takeover at the local, the one that I usually bike to. In fact, I had biked there that day, and so we were sitting there wonderfully, drinking all the delicious Three Floyds beers. They had Crushing Mass is just one of my favorites that I'm actually I just really love it. It's a good coffee beer. But the proprietor of the place, he brought out a bottle of Naturally Upset, the Dark Lord Naturally Upset 2023, and he shared that around to all of us regulars who were sitting at the bar helping to drain his taps for him. So that was kind of cool. But I kind of gave up my chasing days. I was more interested in that in the past, and then I have done beer trading, and I would do beer trading again because I think that's fun. But I really like trading just shelfies with people, so that way you can afford to send, a bunch of beers, like 16 beers across the country, and get 16 beers back that you wouldn't normally be able to find in your area. So that's kind of nice. But then you're not getting whales. And I'm just kind of done chasing whales, but I would really like to get out to Hill Farmstead and just kind of have a beer outside on their property. I sent a friend there once because he was headed out in that area and said, any breweries I should try in this area? And I said, this one. And he sent me back pictures and said they had a wonderful time. They're going to go out there again just to go to this brewery. So I kind of want to get there.
I think
I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of not whale chasers, but brewery chasers, like people who are going to want to go to a very specific brewery. Like I will tell you, going to the Alchemist in Stowe, beautiful fucking spot. Like easily one of my favorite spots. Whenever people go to Traverse City and everyone's like, oh, what's your favorite place in Traverse City? Like, everybody wants to say Hop Lot, Farm Club. Like, you might say the beer is better at a Hop Lot or the beer is better at a different brewery, but Farm Club is just so beautiful up there that it's one of those. It's the same with Burnt Marshmallow too, because it's kind of like Burnt Marshmallow is the Blair Witch Brewery out in Williamsburg or Williamson or whatever, without the scariness. Like you got a little farm there. You got like just a little area where they're like, oh, we should open up a brewery here. Like
I got pigs.
Yeah, they got pigs, they got cows, sheep. I think they have a few other different animals out there that you can just kind of watch, and sometimes they come over and you can pet them. But like Burnt Marshmallow, Farm Club, TC, Traverse City, like these are the spots that I think a lot of people are going to start looking to want to go to.
Traverse City is really under the radar too. People think Grand Rapids. You don't hear people talk TC as much.
I think it's because it's so out of the way and comparable to these other cities. Like Grand Rapids is a little bit easier to get to than Traverse City, even though it's only like another hour and a half to Traverse City. I think Grand Rapids is a lot easier at that because it's closer to Chicago and Indiana. It's, if you're going up 75 and you hit Detroit, you could take 96 all the way across. So it's a direct shot. Whereas Traverse City, you got to go either 75 up and then do a little doohickey to get to Traverse City, or you go across to 131 and you take 131 up. so I agree with you. Traverse City is a great spot and a great place to go. And there's plenty of these little areas all around it that you could do great stuff, like over in Frankfurt, over in Boyne City, over in Petoskey. But again, because of the way Michigan's set up, it's just so out of the way to everything else.
Yeah, there's no real freeway or anything to that effect. You guys all bring up a good point. Do you think chasing overall, as far as specific beers, because I agree with you on the breweries, do you think chasing beers is just on a downtrend and not like we saw, even back in 2015 when it was like all the craze?
I don't know. I feel like it's still out there.
I think it's just that we're at a different point in our beer journey at this point, honestly, because I still see people chasing beers all the time. I have friends that are constantly talking about different stuff. And I don't know, I guess we're just we've been there, done that for most of it, I think, at this point.
And now that you mentioned, the state of craft beer in the U.S. is so different than it was back in the past. Like, there's so many good beers. And I still hear from people in Europe who are excited to get their hands on Dark Lord or something like that, which, while not common here, it's not that uncommon anymore.
That's still one of mine that I haven't been able to get to.
Oh, I have a bunch of bottles. We'll have to meet up sometime.
I've tried multiple times to get tickets and have never gotten tickets, but I have friends that go every year. It doesn't make any sense.
The COVID year was the best. There was no festival. I drove up. I picked up my beer from a semi out back of the Three Floyds. Like, it felt like a mafia transaction or something. Get your beers off the semi. But I drove home.
Is Three Floyds open to go and try beer, or is it still just pick up there now?
It's funny. Their brew pub, they closed it. But last I saw, they're looking to reopen it. I don't know that it's reopened yet. So there is I don't think they have a tasting center. I don't think they have a way to do beer tasting. Even when the brew pub was open, the last time I was up there, they were not open for tasting. They weren't putting up with any of that nonsense. They would not entertain you at all. They just wanted you to do your transaction and get out of there, basically.
I'm trying to look for the photo on the Michigan Craft Beer Discord, but do I think chasing is done? Yes, I think chasing is probably going to be something where a lot of people are going to be done with. They're not going to be going from store to store to store to try to eat up all of the beer releases. On the other hand, however, I think a lot of people still yearn for the community, still yearn for all of the stuff that kind of comes around craft beer. And finally, I got it. And you're going to be able to see where beer releases happen. And people will still be able to not necessarily chase beer, but still, see beer. So like this right here, if you guys aren't looking at the screen, of course, we're on youtube.com/Better on Draft, Twitch, and Facebook. But this is a Gorilla Juice release. Like, this is people waiting in line at Ascension Brewing. Yep, for one of the most recent releases of Gorilla Juice. So I think this is going to become a little bit, I hope, a little bit more of a norm. Obviously, this is illegal. And if you partake in this, the brewery might lose their license. So I will tell you.
Don't cause that.
I will tell you, I can only tell you the legalities, whether you decide to do it or not. Obviously, Ascension and Adam and Brandon and folks over there are okay with it because they don't feel like anybody's going to bother them. But as we were taught by our friend John Piepenbrock, friend of the show, like drinking outside and bringing in beer and stuff to these types of places is illegal.
So with that being said, I will just point out he was the one drinking a Coors Light at Oktoberfest
he was drinking Hams or PBR.
Mills. Oh, it might have been PBR. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah. Has a lot changed since he was in that position though?
No.
Okay.
No law has changed regarding the ability, because you're technically bringing outside alcohol into, because this is the patio that they use, into a different area onto the property. So the property isn't just necessarily even like here, because it's a shared property, you might be able to have some leniency, like if you drink in the parking lot, because this is the parking lot of the jeweler or the sushi place. It's not a section. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, that's not legal for the drinker, but it won't interfere with the license of the business. Whereas this is just completely like you're right there, you're right in front, and it's, you know, there are places where nobody cares, but again, if you get a cop that's having a bad day, or you get a rival that decides to call the MLCC and the local police just to piss you off, like who's to say that, you know, someone who, like, say, you know, Adam pissed someone off, even if it was just a guest, like, you know, someone who showed up there and they didn't get the, you know, the food that they liked. So now they're going to, on Gorilla Juice Day, call the police to show up. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the beer industry version of swatting.
People are like, assholes.
People,
100%.
Yeah. So you're going to see these kinds of things that could potentially happen, but you know, the difference is that there's no like fine for this. This is losing your license. Which your license to sell is what you can do, and you're not going to keep staying open as a restaurant for a week when you're a brewery. Like, it just doesn't really work that way unless you're like Redwood Steakhouse or something like that, where you can potentially get away with just being a restaurant for a week.
I mean, it's a UP, isn't it? You can do whatever you want.
Redwood's in Flint.
Oh, never mind.
You're thinking Red Jacket, which is in Calumet.
Oh, my bad.
I did miss going to the library brew pub when I was up in the UP, because somebody had forgot to submit their liquor license renewal, and they just shut the whole thing down for like a week or two while they waited for it to process. So I have a picture outside of it.
I will be the first. I was not impressed with the library brew pub. With the Q&A Brewing right down the road and the prices that they have and the beer that they serve. It's a brewery only, so you can only get beer there. But library, on the other hand, seemed to be, it almost felt like downtown Detroit pricing for being in downtown Marquette.
Hey, Ken, did you make it to Brickside Brewery up there?
I did, up in Copper Harbor.
I've been trying to get them into the March Draftness ever since we started it, and they never respond.
I love that place.
Yeah, we went up there. That's where I proposed to my fiance, was up in that city.
That's awesome.
So we went to the brewery, and then they have a nice little lakeside restaurant, like a German restaurant over there that has a really good menu and beer and alcohol selection. But I held off on the booze because I was doing something very important that night, so I didn't want to mess that up. That's for damn sure.
My story is not as nice from when I went, because I had a run-in with a spider the size of my fucking hand before I got to the brewery. So we drank a lot at the brewery before we went back to the motel.
Bats McGee on our Twitch says that I've seen a lot this at Loaded Dice, referring to the bottle shares. It was on their patio, which is kind of the parking lot, so not sure the legalities of it. I mean, if it's like their patio, I'm probably sure that they could potentially be liable. So should you get, you know, Oakland County Sheriff or a Troy, Michigan cop really upset, you know, having a bad day, and decide to be like, hey, you know, what the fuck are you guys doing? Why are you all drinking out here? You're all in trouble.
Yeah, especially Troy.
There's a group of about 8 of us that built a line. Like, we decided for a release that we were going to do a line, and we worked with the brewery about it. But it, you know, our laws are different in Indiana. We were out in the parking lot for one thing, but the brewery ended up posting a picture of our graveyard. They asked us to leave the graveyard there.
Yeah, I don't know what the legalities are. Should Ascension share this and just be openly blatant about it? Because this is obviously showing their own proof,
Right.
Of what they agree or disagree. Gary says Savannah red cups are fine. I mean, in Michigan, people usually, again, don't care if you're not causing a ruckus. I can't tell you how many parking lots I've drank in, how many venues. Like, I literally walked in front of a cop going from MGM to Ford Field with a 24-ounce of Labatt Blue in a paper bag because they don't care if you're not doing dumb shit. Like, that's just kind of what it is. But that's, just like in the city of Troy or in the city of Novi, like, they might not have much to do. Like, they might not have much to do to check in, but I don't think anybody's going to check in unless somebody calls. And in the retail space, doesn't matter who you are, you've pissed someone off. Just like in the podcast space, doesn't matter who you are, you piss someone off. To the point where they stalk you on social medias and change their name and make sock accounts and go all off onto you. So that's kind of my theory is that, do I care? No. Is it illegal? Yes. Does the cops care? Just hope they don't. Just hope they don't.
Be mindful is what we're saying.
Yes, be mindful. Don't fucking be blatantly drunk and stupid and, cheersing the people as they're, driving down the road like, woo, like, don't be an idiot.
Don't be a woo girl.
Don't be a woo girl. Well, speaking of woo girls, Rob.
Smooth transition.
Thank you.
So the article that I'm bringing is a destination brewery or a destination beer scene is opening up in Chicago, which I thought that was kind of interesting in itself. But I'm wondering if any of you have ever gone to a destination brewery, specifically there, like, who's the Irish one? Brewdog. Brewdog opened one up in Columbus, Ohio, a while back, like the Beer Hotel, I think it is. And I do know some people who've gone there. You worked on that?
Still working on that.
No, still working on that.
I'm going to make it one day.
But would one in Chicago appeal? Like, did you need a reason to go to Chicago for beer? And then does it change your mind if I told you it's other half that's doing this? So, Wendy, it sounds like you do destination breweries.
So I don't really know exactly what destination brewery means, because to me, they're all destination breweries. But I think Chicago already has a destination breweries, because have you ever been to Lagunitas in Chicago?
No, I've not been to Lagunitas in Chicago.
So that place is like Alice in Wonderland meets hazy IPAs. Like, not even hazies, because it's Lagunitas, so it's West Coast IPAs. But like, the place is amazing. Like the tour that they gave and the show going in and all the different rooms that they had, that to me was a destination brewery. And I tell people all the time, if you're going, you should take the time to go there, even if you don't like their beer, because it's a showroom. Like, they made it for us to go there. It's actually in a movie set. Like, they used to film movies in the building that Lagunitas is in. So it was really amazing. So the fact that other half is building a destination, what exactly are they calling it? What's making it a destination brewery?
Right. So they are the Ramova Theater, historic Ramova Theater. They're rehabbing that, and they're going to put in the brewery in the upstairs of it. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. Like, a theater is a theater's a theater. I don't know what the upstairs of a theater would be called. But it's a sparse article. That seems to be the big draw, is that they well, for one thing, it's an other half, and it's in Chicago. So they, finally moved off the East Coast, I guess.
I mean, I think other half is kind of a destination brewery anyway. So
I would say, for me, the destination brewery that I went to was Blue Moon in Rhino in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. That was one of the few that I want to go to. I would love to. I didn't get a chance to because it's closer to the airport than actual Asheville. But Sierra Nevada down there, doing like a Sierra Nevada tour. A lot of these is just the bigger breweries, but I would suggest for a lot of people on here, especially if you are in Dallas, if you are in San Antonio, take the drive to Shiner. The Shiner Brewery is such an amazing brewery. One, the tour is great, and when you pay for the tour, you get beers that come with it. The food on site is great. You can treat it just as if it's a brewery and buy more beer should you want to drink more beer there. But the Shiner Brewery is, for not going there because of a destination, it is a destination you should add onto your list. That's the same with in Houston, St. Arnold, just because how beautiful the brewery is as a full brewery itself. But I'm as I've been talking, I've been trying to think of what is a brewery that I really, really want to go to. And I think only one really, or two, I should say, hit, and they're both major breweries. And that's the Coors Light Brewery over in Colorado and Denver, and Golden. Yep. Golden. And then the Anheuser-Busch Brewery over in St. Louis. Like I would love to see these monsters of the industry and what they do and how they provide. Like I watched the Budweiser documentary, King of Beer, I think it was called, or the Beer King, where they talked about how they try to get the same beer, Budweiser, to taste the same wherever they brew it. And that includes like in Macau and all these foreign nations. So yeah, I would love to see a little bit more personally the process over at Golden or in St. Louis.
The St. Louis tour is pretty awesome, but it still feels really industrial. Like they show you all the steps and everything, but it's still, you see the scale of it, and that's what they impress you with.
I think I want to see. I was going to say, I think I want to see the scale. Like
it's impressive.
I've seen 1,000 breweries. I want to see what makes this brewery so big, so good, so wide.
Well, I was going to say the Shiner Brewery, that was impressive.
Oh, for sure.
Like at large. So yeah, the next level up would be something like the Coors or something to that effect.
I would say the Leinenkugel's tour, that one really impressed me with how much they do with such an historic location and just the size constraints that they have at that location. Not that it's small, it's a huge location, but still they're using these big old buildings to brew that much beer through. It was pretty impressive, but it was more of a hands-on tour. Like they really guide you through it. It didn't feel industrial, which I mean, it's a different feel. They're a little smaller than Anheuser-Busch, but it was still big. So I thought that one was pretty neat.
Now that I think about it, you know what? New Glarus.
I've been there several times, and if you plan it far enough ahead, you can do the hard hat tour. We were looking in August, I think, and they had sold out through to the winter. And then you don't necessarily want to start planning for winter in Wisconsin. Maybe you don't mind that drive, but
Nope.
So then you're looking into like March, April, probably. But yeah, I've done the hard hat tour, and that was, we planned it in August. We booked it for April, and it was great. But the self-guided tour is also really good.
I tell you what, I did a tour at Toppling Goliath when I was there, and that was pretty amazing. I did try to get into Coors when I was in Golden, and they had a employee function that day, so it was shut down for tours. And when I was in St. Louis, I chose to go to local breweries instead. So, but I agree with Ken. I would love to see all those, just the scale of what's going on there.
It's got to be the next level. Like we've all seen, the brewery tours that we've been into. Like I've been to Old Nation. I've been to Brew Detroit. Like I've been to larger breweries in the state. But when we went to Shiner, like that was such a massive brewery. And now it's like, all right, I want to see the next step. To be honest, I'd love to go see the Blue Moon tour, but we didn't get a chance to go to tour when we went to the Rhino Industry over in Colorado.
So I really enjoyed when I was in Boston, I did the Sam Adams tour, which is just a small part. You don't actually go through most of their actual brewery. It's mostly it's the I can't even think of the word. It's the original brewery, so you get a lot of the smaller batch stuff. You don't get the large production stuff that you would get with Sam Adams. But then we went over to Harpoon, and they take you through their production facility. And that tour, to me, like, especially doing the two of them back to back, were awesome. Like, I just loved seeing it, and I liked hearing the history from both sides because, you know, they had competition over who's the first license in Boston. So it was a really good time to see both.
Don't they have license number 1 right there up on the wall?
Harpoon has license number 1. Yep. Even though Sam Adams was brewing before them, but it's all about politics and license. It was law changes, so technically they have license number 1, and they are going to hold them to that forever.
Yep. Did you go to Harpoon when they had the nice tasting room? Because I've been okay. That nice tasting room. I don't know if you went in the restrooms, but the view from the restrooms is amazing, and I tell people to go in there and check it out because you look over Boston Harbor. It's just beautiful.
Yes. I don't remember the view from the bathroom, but I do remember that tasting room.
Yeah, it's nice.
Now, of course, if you're listening and you are a newer fan of Better on Draft, we've actually had both of those breweries on our show. Harpoon Brewery was episode 301 back in September 2022, and Boston Beer Company was also September 2022, episode 299.
Oh, so Boston Beer Company came first that time.
Yes, Boston Beer Company did technically come first as on the list of guests from Better on Draft. But then technically the Rochester Mills is number 1 for us. All right. As we are ending the show here in a minute, if nobody else has anything else they want to add on the world of destination beer. What is, and we're going to make this a very, very simple New Year's resolution for all 4 of us that we can forget about and then try to remember next year to bring up before the show ends. What is a brewery or beer on your mind that you want to make sure you try in 2024, whether you got to take a trip to it, whether you got to buckle down and just go have it, or you got to wait in line to get it, like where we have Bats McGee saying that he got his Utopia this year. What is a beer or brewery you want to visit next year, 2024? Dan.
God, I can't. I feel like I've been to all the ones I want to go to. So, all right, here's one. So 2024, I got to get back to Bottle Logic. It's been a couple of years now, and I was right there down the street back in November. Didn't go because I ended up at the brewery multiple times. So that's definitely where I want to go back to.
Rob.
I was in Switzerland this year in both Zurich and Geneva, and I loved them. They're not huge beer destinations, but I hear Bern is, and so I'm hoping to get back to Switzerland and get to Bern this time.
Wendy.
Oh my gosh, I have so many beer resolutions this year. So this is going to be my KBBS year. I swear to God, I am going to get there for KBBS. It's good.
They're in like Iowa, right? Is it Iowa,
yes.
Nebraska?
And I went
Iowa.
to Top and Goliath. I loved it. They were amazing. There was no KBBS in sight. I got to go when they're serving it. Son of a bitch. I saw he actually wouldn't let me leave the barrel room. Like he's like, I'm just going to stand right here next to you just in case. I'm like, I'm not going to take a whole barrel. But yeah, so KBBS is 2024 is going to be my year for that. My other goal, I think, is to go to, I really want to do the Belgian tour. I want to go to all the abbeys. And I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So I think I need to start planning that. I might not make it happen in 2024, but if I start planning it, I can make it happen in 2025.
I think 2025, I'm going to be doing my European trip that I planned for 2020.
Hey, finally.
I know. It was one of those just I mean, for Dan knows, like I had this thing fucking written out. Like I had 30
talked
days
about it extensively.
I was ready to go to like there would have been a sabbatical for Better on Draft. I would have been out and about having fun. But I think we're going for my honeymoon. We're gonna hit up Europe for 2025. 2024, on the other hand, I want to hit a handful of the very, very random, sporadic breweries in the state of Michigan that I just have not had a chance to go to. And what I mean by that is, I mean like Cedar Springs, Three Rivers, these breweries that aren't necessarily large. Like when I go to Temperance down at the south end of Michigan, the very southeast part of Michigan, Pavlov's is amazing. And when I did like Meckley's and I did Tecumseh and I did all these breweries in that tour, like all these were so great. So I want to go and try to make, even if it's just like a random one night where we just go drive out to a place and drink at a brewery or two and spend the night at a local Best Western and drive back the next day. Like I want to be able to do that a little bit more this year, where I'm not necessarily just kind of like sitting around the house on a Saturday doing nothing. Like I want to go visit some of these smaller breweries that we know and we talk about and we see here in Michigan.
Hey, real quick, before you move on, I just opened this Southern Grist mango Bracco nut that I thought was a brown, but it's actually an IPA. Holy shit, this is delicious.
Oh, Wendy loves IPAs.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh my God, this is so good. I am so mad that I did not buy more than one.
Well, that is going to do it. Gary agrees on our Facebook page. That is going to do it for Better on Draft. 2023 is in the books. Folks, 337 episodes of this podcast. We have been going since 2015. For everyone that has been part of this journey, including former hosts like Matt, Nick, Angela, Rob, the other Rob, Robert, and of course for my current host,
don't forget
Dan.
Dennis.
Oh yeah, Dennis. I guess we should add Tara and the Brew Locker to that list too. For of course my current co-host Dan, Rob, and Wendy. Dan, Rob, we got to get you on the intro now. I got to go contact Pints and Panels.
It's been like 4 episodes. Yeah,
I made it.
He made it. That is going to do it. Check us out on all of the social medias. Better on Draft on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We do have a Rumble page. We've got a YouTube page, a Kick page, a Twitch page, a TikTok page. Just about all of our social medias are at Better on Draft, including Untapped. We are at Better on Draft on Untapped now.
What's our Pornhub handle?
At Better on Draft.
That's my bad.
What were you thinking?
I don't know.
I hope
if there's actually a Pornhub handle at Better on Draft.
I don't want to know.
It's just
Wendy's
me,
checking right now.
It's me talking about all of this being my show and my love and my
Pornhub.
everything.
Yeah.
It's
all about you,
basically
Ken.
just self masturbation about Better on Draft.
I don't need to know if there's some porn
me.
meaning for draft.
We'll find out. Apparently. All of our sponsors this year, especially Zatuna Liquor in Rochester Hills, North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan, and of course our current new sponsor, Craft Tapped. Go download, get a subscription, folks. If you still have white elephant gifts, if you still have Christmas gifts, whatever you may need, Craft Tapped is very, very cheap, and it allows people to go get up to 10 beers at half off every single month for only, I think, $9.99. For the year. Use the code BOD. It's available too in other states, including Arizona. So
Is that $999?
No, that's $9.99. $9.99. It's different for every state, but at least for Michigan, that's what it costs. Use the code BOD no matter what state you're in and get a discount on top of the discount that is going on right now. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Cheers.